The electromotive force, how we define EMF for electromotive force. Basically, electromotive force, it is work done on unit charge to move the charge around a closed circuit or a complete circuit. We call that as EMF or electromotive force. Like example, a battery or a cell, inside a battery or a cell, it stored chemical energy. Due to a chemical reaction, it produces charges. And if I say a cell, on a cell, it is labeled 1.5 volts. So what is the meaning of this 1.5 volt? It means that if you have 1 coulomb of a charge, and if 1 coulomb of a charge is coming out from the battery, so it carries 1.5 joules. So how much energy carried by 1 coulomb of a charge, that is refers to electromotive force, or when the charges, there is a work done on unit charge to move the charge around the circuit. When chemical energy changes to electrical energy, we call that as EMF or electromotive force. Or electromotive force of a cell can be defined as energy supplied to each coulomb of a charge within it. And to calculate EMF, energy supplied by the cell divided by the number of the charges which will flow through, we can find EMF. So example, if I say a battery is connected to a circuit and a battery total supplied 45 joules. So battery supplied total 45 joules to 3 coulomb of a charge. This is 1 coulomb, another coulomb. So 3 coulomb of a charge, a battery supplied 45 joule. So what is, or how much energy supplied to each coulomb of a charge or 1 coulomb charge? That will be refers to EMF. So what is the electromotive force? That is the total energy, which is 45 divided by total number of the charge, 3 coulombs. So 45 divided by 3, that is equals to 15 joules per coulomb. And this joules per coulomb is also known as volts, denoted by capital V. So EMF, this is a Greek alphabet epsilon. Epsilon, E is the energy or work done, and Q is the charge. And the unit of EMF is joules per coulomb or volts. So example, if we connect cells in series 1.5, 1.5 and 1.5, what will be the total combined EMF of this battery? Because group of cell is known as a battery, combination of the cells. What will be the combined EMF of this combination? 3 1.5 volt cells are connected in series, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So what is the combined voltage produced or EMF? That will be equal to 4.5, because they all try to transfer energy in one way, the conventional current, positive to negative. So when 1 coulomb of a charge will come out, it will have 4.5 joules, or 4.5 volt is uh, the total energy supplied to each coulomb charge. But if I change the terminals, like instead, if I change the terminal, now what will happen? What is the combined EMF of this combination? So you can see, if I say this is cell 1, cell 2 and cell 3. Cell 2 and cell 3 are transferring or trying to transfer energy in opposite direction, so they cancel out each other and they are equal. So we are left with only net 1.5. So this combination, the combined EMF is only 1.5. So if positive terminal is connected with the negative terminal of another cell, to get the EMF, combined EMF, we will add them. But if like terminals, identical terminals of two different batteries are connected, to get the combined resistance, what we will do, we will subtract. So when cells are connected in series, the combined EMF is the sum of individual. So in this case, three 1.5 volt cells. So 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, the combined will be 4.5. But when cells are connected in parallel, the combined EMF is the EMF of individual of one cell. So example, three 1.5 volt cells are connected. So the total EMF which they will supply, or potential difference between the two terminal A and B, will be 1.5 only. The advantage of connecting them in parallel, it will last for a longer period of a time as compared to when they are connected in series. What is the combined voltage here? Calculate the combined EMF of the following cells. What is the combined EMF? Yeah, that is 6. Why? Because this combination is 6, 6 and 6, and they all are in parallel, so the combined EMF will be 6. The advantages, what are the advantage of connecting cells in parallel? The cell will last for a longer before they need to be replaced, and it can provide a higher current. To the circuit. Now, what is the meaning of potential difference? Example, we have a battery of 3 volts. The combined EMF or total EMF, this one is 1.5 and 1.5. The total EMF or the combined EMF is equals to 3. So we connect this to a bulb or a lamp. So when 1 coulomb of a charge is coming out, the combined EMF is 3 volts. So 1 coulomb of a charge will have 3 joules of energy. Before entering the lamp, it will have 3 joules. When it passes through the lamp, it will transfer its electrical energy. So 0 joule of electrical energy will be there. So how much energy the charge transfer when they passes through the component? So this charge, 1 coulomb of a charge transferred 3 joule. So that 3 joule is refers to potential difference, or PD. So energy transfer by 1 coulomb of a charge, that is known as potential difference, or you can also say voltage. Voltage is basically can be used for EMF also, and voltage can be used for potential difference. The potential difference is a common term which can be used for both, but there is a difference between EMF. The term EMF means when chemical energy changes to electrical, we call EMF. When electrical changes to other form, we call that as potential difference. So when energy carried by the charge is consumed in the component, so when the charge flow through the lamp in the circuit, their energy is converted to other form such as heat and light. So energy converted by 1 coulomb of a charge, that is known as potential difference, or PD. Potential difference is given by the work done in the component or by the charge when the charge is passing through the component. The potential difference is also energy divided by charge. Unit is joules per coulomb or volts. So EMF and potential difference both have the same units. If we want to measure a potential difference, we will use a voltmeter. And the circuit symbol for voltmeter is a circle with letter V. Then resistance, how we define a resistance? Resistance is a property of a material to stop the flow of the charges. When the material does not allow the charges to flow through it, we call that material as the property, that intrinsic property of a material is known as resistance. So example, you have conductor, a semiconductor, and you have insulator. Which material you think will allow greater amount of current to pass through it? Conductor, semiconductor, or insulator? Which material will allow greater number of the charges to flow through it? So conductor will allow greater number of the charges to flow. So if it allow greater number of the charges to flow, we can say it is not resisting the flow. So conductor will have a low resistance. Semiconductor will have high resistance, where insulators have infinite resistance. Infinite resistance or too high resistance, which does not allow the charges to flow through it. If we want to calculate a resistance, how we can calculate? Resistance is a ratio between the one of the formula, voltage and current. And how we measure a voltage? By a voltmeter. And we measure the current by an ammeter. So this is how the resistors look like in a circuit. The colors on the resistors are referring their values, also known as a color coding. So on the resistor, it's not written directly like what is the value of the resistance. The color codes are there. So using these color codes, we can recognize, we can identify the resistance of a resistor. The circuit symbol for resistor, it is denoted by a rectangular box. So if we want to measure the resistance, we need a voltage and we need current. So for example, a diagram shows a resistor connected in a circuit. The current in the circuit is 2 ampere and the voltage is 15. Calculate the resistance. So how we can calculate the resistance? Voltage divided by current, we will get the resistance. So 15 divided by 2, that's equal to 7.5. And about the voltmeter, as we discussed in O levels as well, when we connect a voltmeter, voltmeter are always connected in parallel to the component and ammeters are always connected in series. Practically, if we want to measure the resistance, what we can do? So what we will do, we'll connect an electrical component, an ammeter in series. Then we'll connect a voltmeter in parallel and measure the voltage and current, and we'll get the resistance of the component. So the only thing which will change is the component which we are measuring a resistance. Like example, if I want to measure the resistance of the lamp, then there should be a lamp instead of a resistor. And we'll get the voltage and current. Voltage divided by current, we will know the resistance. Now factors which are affecting the resistance, there are different factors which affect the resistance. The temperature is one of them, length is there, and area. So if we are using a longer wire will have high resistance than shorter wire. What is the reason? Because what happen if you use a longer wire, you should learn this explanation as well, that how it affects the length affects the resistance of the wire. If you have two wires with same cross sectional areas but different length, so resistance is proportional to length. What is the reason? Because when we have a longer wire, this is all the metals have lattice positive ions and the delocalized electrons. So if you have a longer wire, means the electrons have to collide, or they will collide with more collisions between their for electron and the positive ions, which leads to reduce the speed of the electron. So when the electron will move slowly, what it will happen, number of the charges which enter at one point and the number of the charges leave the other point will be different. So for a wire with a uniform cross-sectional area, the resistance is proportional to length. So what is the reason? The longer wire, the further electrons have to travel. So more likely they will collide with a metal ion, loses their energy, so reduce the number of the charges flowing out from the other side, which result in increase of resistance. The second factor which affect is the cross-sectional area. So how the cross-sectional area affect? Because if you have thin wire, will have more resistance as compared to thicker wire. Because there is a repulsion between the charges when they are entering the charges, they have repulsion. But if you have a large cross-sectional area, they will have greater spacing between them, which reduce the repulsion, so net resistance will decrease. But when the charges are closer to each other, they will have more uh, repulsion. Like charges repel each other, which leads to slow down the movement of the charges through a conductor and reduce the and increase the resistance of the conductor. Then what is the effect of temperature? So for metal, increase in temperature increase the resistance, but for semiconductors, increase in temperature will decrease the resistance. So reason we already discussed. What could be the reason? You can relate this with the transport equation. According to transport equation, I is equals to N A V Q. So what happened for conductors? And for semiconductors, so for conductors, what happened? I is equals to NaVq. For conductors, N is constant, A is constant, Q is constant. So what happened? It means the current is directly proportional to drift speed. When we increase the temperature, if the temperature rise, increase in temperature will reduce the drift speed. As the drift speed decrease, charges will have more collision, lose more, so reduce the flow. So current will decrease. That's why the resistance increases. But for semiconductor, the things which are constant, area is constant and Q is constant. So means I is proportional to N into V. Increase in temperature will decrease the drift speed, but it will increase the number of the charge carrier, and net resultant number of the charge carrier increase, so the flow will also increase. It also depends on the type of material. Like example, resistance depends on the kind of a substance. Like if you are using a copper is a good conductor and it is used in connection wire. But nichrome, which is a alloy of nickel and chromium, having more resistance, this used for heating element. Like most of the electrical energy converted into heat energy when the charges are moving through a nichrome wire. A variable resistor can be used as a rheostat. Rheostat means if you want to change the current in the circuit, so what we can do, a sliding contact move. This is actually actual picture of the rheostat. So what we have fixed end. These are the fixed end, and this one is a movable end. Now if I connect positive terminal and negative terminal, so when the current is moving, conventional current, it will move through this wire and it will flow out. But if I change the movable part, the moment we change the position of this movable part, now it is placed closer to other end. So now the conventional current has to flow through greater length. So as the length increase, resistance will increase. As the resistance increase, the current in the circuit will decrease, and we call that combination as rheostat. When our main purpose, if our main purpose is to change the current, we call variable resistor rheostat. If our main purpose is to divide the voltage, we call that as potential divider. So variable resistor can be used as a rheostat. It can be used as a potential divider. Here it is about rheostat, in which the variable resistor is used to, main focus is to change the current. These are the circuit symbols for variable resistor. A simple experiment in which we can identify what is the effect of temperature on resistance of a conductor. So a circuit below is used to investigate how the current which is moving through or flowing through a conductor depends on the potential. The conductor in this case is the coiled lineup nichrome wire. You can see a nichrome wire is there. We connect a voltmeter, we connect an ammeter. And it is first kept at a constant temperature by immersing in a large amount of water, and the potential across the nichrome wire is adjusted by using a variable resistor. Now what we do, these are the results which we obtain when the current, we are changing a value from voltage and current from the variable resistor. So when the current is 0.2, the voltage was 1, so resistance is coming out 0.5. Okay, resistance coming out 5. When current is 0.4, voltage is 2. Across the nichrome wire, we are getting 5. So here you can see the resistance remain constant. Now what we will do, we will start heating it. If we keep a temperature constant, plot a graph between voltage and resistance. So the slope represent reciprocal of R. Why reciprocal here? Because resistance is the ratio between voltage and current. But here when we take a slope is the quantity on y-axis divided by quantity on x-axis. So on y-axis we have current, on x-axis we have voltage. So current divided by voltage will give us reciprocal of resistance. So this, when we increase the voltage, the current is also increasing, but the resistance remain constant, and we call this law as Ohm's law, or the material is known as ohmic conductor. But what happened? The resistance of most of the conductor, when we increase the temperature, it increases. For example, if you take example of filament, reason for that, when these electrons are moving through the lattice, they are colliding with the lattice, increase the lattice vibration, which increases the resistance of the material as well as temperature. So if we sketch a graph for a filament lamp, the shape will be different. Why the shape will be different? As current is on y-axis and voltage is on x-axis, the slope is reciprocal of R. So what happened? As we increase the voltage, the charges have more collision. As the charges have more collision, what it result? It result in increase in temperature. Increase in temperature will increase the resistance. So when the resistance increase, what happened to the slope? The slope will decrease. So you will, not only explain the effect of resistance, you will explain how the resistance changes or how the temperature changes. So you will mention increase in voltage, increase the number of the collision between the positive ions and the electron, which dissipate energy in the form of heat, increases the temperature, reduce the rate at which voltage is increasing with respect to current, or increases the resistance. Is it clear till now? Any doubt or a question? Any question related to this part? So what we have a light dependent resistor. It is also a semiconductor. So its resistance changes with light. Increase in light intensity produce more charge carrier, which reduces its resistance, and opposite will happen. So we can use this in a light sensing circuits. This is a circuit symbol for LDR, light dependent resistor. If we have resistors connected in series and we want to find the combined resistance, so we will add them. And if we have two or more resistors are in parallel and we need a combined resistance, so that will be product divided by sum for two resistors. So when two or more components are connected in series, the combined resistance will increase, and if they are connected in parallel, the combined resistance will decrease. So if you want to find the effective resistance of this combination, 2 ohm and 8 ohm are connected in series, so that is 10 ohm. And 5 ohm and 5 ohm are connected in series, that is also 10 ohm. Now they are in parallel, so we'll find by product divided by sum. So 10 into 10 divided by 10 plus 10. So which is 100 divided by 20, that is equals to 5 ohms. When we have a circuit, DC circuits can be a series circuit or it can be parallel. Series circuit means they have only one way for the charges to flow, and parallel they have multiple ways. So when resistor or other components are connected in series, the current at every point is same, or the total current which enter at any point is same as total current leave the point. So if I say 1.6 ampere is the current which is moving coming out from the battery, same 1.6 will flow through 6 ampere, and 1.6 ampere will flow through 4. Same 1.6 ampere will flow through 6 ohm resistor, and 1.6 ampere will flow through 4 ohm resistor, and same current will return. So the total current which enter the circuit is same as total current leaves the circuit. And to get the total current, we need the formula current is equals to voltage divided by resistance. So total voltage is 16 and the combined resistance is 6 plus 4, that is 10. So 1.6 ampere. The sum of potential difference in a series is equal to potential across the whole circuit. Means like if we were having a 16 volt supply, if 9.6 volt drop across the first resistor, remaining 6.4 will be there across the second. And how we can find a voltage across each? We know the current. So current multiplied by resistance, we will know the voltage. So the total EMF is equals to the total potential difference for series circuit. But if we have a parallel circuits, Like 8 ohm and 2 ohm are connected in parallel to 18 volt supply. For parallel, the voltage at every point, potential difference is same. Like if this is 18 volt, same 18 volts across 8 ohm, same 18 volts across 2 ohm. But what about the current? The current will divide. And how to find a current? That is voltage divided by resistance. So we'll find the current, and the total current will be equal to the sum of current in each branch. So 11.25 ampere enter. If the one which is having high resistance, so it will have small current, so 2.25 will flow through this 8 ohm resistor. Remaining 9 ampere will flow through 2 ohm resistor, and then rejoin and return, it will be 11.25. So total current enter the circuit is same as the total current leaves the circuit. The advantages of connecting the component in parallel: they will receive the same voltage. If the example two lamps are there, they will receive the same voltage, and if one of them is not working, the other will continue to work, so they work independently. If one of them is faulty, the other will continue to work. These are some circuit symbols which you have to go through: lamp, ammeter, voltmeter, AC supply, a DC supply. This one is DC supply, the lower one is AC supply. Light dependent resistor, LEDs, relay, electric bell, magnetizing coil, and fuse. There are more symbols. So if you want to connect a 1.5 volt cell with a 1.5 volt battery with two cells connected in series, we'll connect two voltmeters parallel to each other and ammeter in series. So these are some voltmeter and ammeter. This is a digital voltmeter and ammeter. So today's class main focus was just go through the O level electricity topics. We discuss that, and the extra things which are there in A levels, that we will do in the next session. Any question related to the class today? I'll share this presentation also with you at the end of the session.